insane racist moments on paternity court.
This child does not look anything like you. You need to start doing a little bit of investigation.
Well, she's biracial, Your Honor. What is she supposed to look like? She looks like herself.
I'm a boy maker, period, point blank.
Hold on. So, Mr. Jalik, you only make boy.
Yes, ma'am.
And my kids look split image of me, and she doesn't.
That equates to doubt.
Mr. Harrison was at the podium suing the defendant. Yep, and on top of that, he wanted his name to be removed from the birth certificate after the results. Why? Because he was sure as heck he wasn't the defendant's baby daddy.
Well, Your Honor, I signed my acknowledgement for paternity for my daughter, and I've done everything for her since the day she's been born. I've had several people come to me through Facebook and through text messaging on my phone saying that, you know, Aaliyah's not your daughter.
This baby daddy accused Mama of paternity fraud, and he had his reasons. I bet he does. Now, according to him, he started suspecting the paternity through the rumor mill going around on Facebook. Yep, and apparently, the rumors were started by Miss Grant's friends. Yeesh.
Are they explaining what they based this assertion on?
Well, apparently it's through several of her friends, you know, that
They're
maybe
not any
she's
kind
had.
of friends of mine, Your Honor, if they're going around talking behind my back.
I have to say that the person that gave me these accusations had no reason other than the fact that they had, you know, had an argument and she felt like she had to get a little bit of revenge on her.
I mean, come on. Just to get payback from the baby mama, these guys went so low. And I believe they thought they were being good Samaritans telling baby daddy to go do some digging.
This child does not look anything like you. You need to start doing a little bit of investigation.
Well, she's
on your daughter.
biracial, Your Honor. What is she supposed to look like? She looks like herself.
Let's leave the digging to the judge, shall we? The plot was about to thicken. It turned out Miss Grant was indeed cheating. Not cool. I mean, duh. But if we're to believe the word of Mr. Harrison, the cheating wasn't just one instance. Oh, yeah.
I had a relationship with a man that I had met when I was very young. I met him when I was 18 years old. He was a good friend to me.
Mr. Harrison, when did you find out about this
Your Honor,
when he went snooping through
I
my phone.
have to say, she had this affair with this person for 15 years. I've only been with her for 8.
Now, who was the secretive friend of the baby mama? Well, this friend was a good friend of Miss Grant. Believe me, he seemed to be quite a generous dude that helped in all kinds of ways. And then just poof, gone on his merry way. Hard to believe that.
I had met this person when I was 18 years old. I was a single parent of a 2-year-old daughter at the time. He helped me with her. He helped me financially. He has bought cars. He has paid rent. He has paid bills.
Was this strictly platonic or was this a sexual relationship?
At times it was sexual, but for the most part, it was platonic.
Oh man, there was a lot to unpack between these guys. It was pretty apparent they didn't trust each other at all. And why would they, when the last 8 years of their life were at stake? Miss Grant was holding her ground and even claimed she gave the choice to leave. And yet Mr. Harrison brought them here.
When I came clean, I gave you the option whether or not you wanted to stay, whether or not you wanted to go ahead and call it quits for good, forever.
Yes, you're right.
Or if you wanted to go ahead and, you know, lay it out all out.
Because I'm not
on
a
the line.
deadbeat and
Because
actually
he's
want to be
cheated on
around
me
my
too.
children if they're mine.
Enter the dude that started this whole paternity doubt ruckus. According to the defendant, she'd been intimate with this fella when the guys were separated. And the separation was for quite some time. At this point, baby daddy interjected with a story, and soon they both were talking over each other.
When were you last intimate with this other guy?
December.
And so this is just months ago.
Let me also say this. I had major ankle surgery in February of 2014. She decided that was the time she wanted to break up, and while I'm immobile, I can't even get up from the couch after major ankle surgery.
Leave it to Judge Lake to ask the loaded questions. I mean, she was the boss, right? Upon asking whether Miss Grant led the plaintiff on to believe he was the baby daddy, she claimed she was 100% positive he was her guy. Why so sure? Apparently because of a blizzard.
I knew 100% that she was his child because she was conceived during a blizzard.
What does snow on the ground have to do with a child's paternity?
Because the other person doesn't like the cold weather and he went to Florida.
She feels like she could sit
He
there
was
and
not
name
there.
the day of conception.
I
with her.
can.
She was sure. He obviously wasn't. And that's where the cold hard facts come around to resolve all paternity doubts. However, before that, Miss Grant seemed to go on a journey and poured her heart out to the man standing beside her.
My kids keep coming to me and asking me, "Where's Daddy going?"
I have to also
And I
sit
have
there
to
and say,
explain that
she
to a
has
7-year-old and a
3 other
4-year-old.
kids. She has 3 other
I don't
kids
know.
other than mine that I've also taken in.
So the truth is the stakes are very high.
Yes,
and it's
ma'am.
not just this relationship on the line.
It's
There's
not-
an entire family.
5 people.
entire
5 people inside the
More
house
than
right
5
now
people.
are affected by what's going on.
Nope, all of that gushy stuff had no effect on the plaintiff. Nada. He was still on the outs with this woman and had serious reservations. Would he reconcile with her if her claim turns out right? Most importantly, this friend of the defendant's needed to stop butting in their business.
Her friend told you that Miss Grant said that you're not the father.
Yes.
I never said that.
You state and you are suing because you believe, Mr. Harrison, that Miss Grant purposefully, with intention, lied to you about the fact that you were Aaliyah's biological father.
Well, the paternity fraud wasn't granted due to lack of evidence. No shock there. However, the paternity doubt was still very much there. Aaliyah was a 4-year-old whose life was on the line, and she deserved a family. Let's take a look at what her fate had in store for her.
Mr. Harrison, you are her father.
I told you.
How do you feel, Miss Grant?
I feel vindicated, Your Honor. Absolutely. I may have lied about my affair, but I know who the father of my child is.
Second time's the charm. The plaintiff was back in court to prove to Mr. Jalik he was her baby daddy. However, the defendant had a lot of doubts regarding paternity of baby Gioni and wanted to put an end to this here and now.
I'm here today to prove to him that he is Gianni's father. It's very important to me and him, and I just want the inconsistency to stop, him being hot and cold with Gianni. If I have to be a full-time mother, then he needs to be a full-time father. He needs to be there.
Well, these guys had issues, obviously, but they were still living together. Cohabitation and co-parenting. The husband whipped out the conception calendar, and it was highly detailed, I may say. And these very details led him to doubt the loyalty of his wife and paternity of Gioni.
Basically, her conception date, if I'm the father, should have been back here somewhere to give it a full 9-month run if she's not a premature baby. If the doctor's saying she carried this child a full term, then you telling me you got pregnant in July and boom, it's straight 9 months later you drop on the 1st of April. It don't add up to me.
Next up, the defendant presents another shocking testimony. Apparently, Mr. Jalik got hold of the mommy's phone through their eldest kid. Interesting. The guy went straight to her gallery, and ding, 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 there was a surprise just waiting for him there.
I picked the phone up from my son. I directly went to her gallery. In Miss Tillis's photos, you have a picture of a month-old fresh newborn, which is right here, and one of her ex-boyfriends cropped together in her phone. The baby ain't even 60 days old yet. Why is you cropping a picture of my daughter with your ex?
Baby daddy had expressed his doubts pretty clearly, and on more than one occasion. And yet baby mommy kept on having fun with the guy. Moving on, baby daddy revealed another rather interesting piece of information that further led him to doubt the paternity.
If you feel like she's not yours, why come over there and hold her and say, "Hey, dada," and kissing all on my baby, acting cool with her 1 minute, and then when me and you get into an argument, it's you just talking to our son and you will ignore her. What are you saying?
Miss Tillis, Mr. Jalik has expressed that he has doubts.
Mr. Jalik was pretty adamant he only had the ability to make boys. And when baby Gioni came into their lives, it appeared downright impossible for him to have fathered her. Now, why was he so certain about that? That is the question.
You believe you only make boys.
That's all I got.
So do you have any other evidence to support the fact that you just make boys?
I was told a long time ago by a family member
Right.
that's all I was gonna ever make because that's all I was producing. And I believe it wholeheartedly. So the fact that here come out of nowhere a curveball, which is a beautiful blessing right here.
Now, with the help of a doctor, Judge Lake established that a guy being just a boy maker is just a myth and nothing else. But that didn't let down Mr. Jalik. Nope. He went on to say that was indeed possible, and apparently it was a Southern thing. What was happening in the South, man?
A man can only produce one gender is a myth.
Indeed.
Don't count out, I drink my prune juice and lemon juice, so that helps me create boys, you know what I'm saying?
Prune juice and lemon juice, all right. Have you ever heard of this, Jerome?
Not lately.
You heard what he said.
All this craziness aside, there was a real baby whose fate and life was at stake. Time to put this doubt to rest and see whether there will be a third time here for these guys. Oh, I hope the southern things of Mr. Jalik turn out to be a total bust.
Mr. Jalik, you are the father. You got your first little girl. Congratulations.
Miss Murray had another surprise waiting for her when she came back home from her deployment. Oh yeah, here she was, glad to be home and to start a new chapter in their married life. And boom, the defendant accused her of infidelity. And now they're here.
I'll be honest, when you're overseas at first, I mean, there's gonna be temptations, and there's gonna be guys that look good, and there's gonna be guys all around. And you're gonna see guys, but that doesn't mean that you have to cheat and you have to go outside of your marriage.
Shedding light on the life of a military woman overseas, who was also married, by the way. Baby mama had some things to share. Now that life is lonely and full of terrors, but some other distractions were there as well.
There was a bomb going off or something that I would have to get in the bunker and for hours and hours. So if there wasn't a time, then I would be in the bunker and then I would get back to him the next day. So I insured him over and over plenty times.
So you're saying you really tried your best to stay in contact with your husband and to let him know you were being faithful despite the danger you were facing.
All these issues started when Miss Brown got deployed. There, she was fighting for her life. And here, the husband dearest was wondering what kinds of fun she must be engaging in. Man, this dude had some serious insecurities.
Is she still gonna have love for me? It's a lot of men's on base, a younger man. Keep in mind, I'm 22 years older than my wife. So that has a lot to do with it, my being guilty or bad conscience.
Because you feel like she may have wanted to be with someone younger.
Apparently, the defendant wasn't always this doubtful of his wife. Hard to believe, right? This doubting fiasco began when a visitor from the apartment complex let him in on the secret of what actually takes place on the base.
In the military's world, when they overseas, they have a group of people, and that group got to stay with each other. If they're there for 2 years, it could be 40 married ladies on base, and he says every last one of them ladies would have sex with another man, because on the base is what happened on this base stays on this base.
This doubt had been bothering the husband a lot. Clearly, as he did some research to understand the dynamics of the military. Along with that, he also came along with a witness who wanted to remain anonymous. Mysterious and wild.
You're away from home, and so the first thing you can do is cling to people who are around you, where pretty much what goes on base stays on base. You know, a lot of times, a lot of married soldiers, they would be out, and we would go on what they call TDY, which is temporary duty. You know, the unofficial term for it was temporarily divorced.
Things have gotten interesting. Yup, Mr. Murray strongly suspected that Miss Brown's special friend from the military had something going on with her. On top of that, Bobby was in constant contact with him as well, which certainly didn't help her cause.
Ms. Brown Murray, you had a close friend overseas.
Yes, I did.
Is that who your husband thinks the father of your child really is?
Yes, that's who he thinks that I had sex with.
Wait a minute, let me back that up. When I picked her up in November, we was riding around in the car. I'm asking her, I thought it was kind of odd. Why is he calling you?
And this did not stop there. Not at all. It went on, and so did the infidelity doubt. It got more and more deeply rooted in his mind with each instance. It seemed Miss Brown was just inviting doubt at this point with no regard.
She had bought me some Jordans, and I'm wearing my Jordans. She's talking to him. I heard her tell him, he's not stupid. And, you know, well, she ain't talking to her mother like that. Who are you talking to? And she said his name. Who's he calling stupid? And she said, you?
What?
And I said, why would he call me stupid? Because you got new shoes and you're excited.
Up till now, the defendant had just been doubting the faithfulness of his wife. His wife made it back home alive. Thank goodness for that. And bam, immediately got pregnant. Now the age of the dear old husband, pun intended, didn't back up this scenario much. Furthermore, baby daddy couldn't help commenting on the little girl. Not cool, man.
If my kids look split image of me and she doesn't,
that equates to doubt.
I had doubt. She got home. She never was a type of person that had a very big sex appetite. It took us a while to have sex. It was nothing special to brag about. We just had sex.
The only way to resolve this paternity doubt was through the DNA results. This all took toll on their marriage. Mr. Murray was good with the little girl, but the doubt still plagued his mind. Let's put it to rest once and for all, shall we?
Mr. Murray, it has been determined by this court that you are her father.
Thank you.
That's exactly what the truth does. It brings families together, and that's why we do this every day, right, Jerome?
Absolutely right.